Okay, at this time, I would like to call the committee meetings to order for Monday, September 11th, 2023. As hopefully everyone remembers, this is obviously a day of significance and a day, well, there's not many darker days in our country. So I encourage you not to forget, right? Now, to open up our meeting, Ms. Tanya Damaski, Assistant Principal at East Beauregard High School, is going to lead us in the prayer and pledge.
Good evening. If everyone please bow their heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening to thank you for this wonderful day and for allowing us to gather together for the betterment of our parish. Allow us to not only educate students to the best of our abilities, but also to be a light for you on each of our campuses and in our communities. Let us not grow weary in doing what is good. Help us recognize the tremendous opportunity we have each day to impact students. We are grateful to live and serve in Beauregard Parish. Please grant us all wisdom and clarity as we make decisions and have discussions about the future education of all of our students. In your name we pray. Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, before I turn it over to Ms. Lafitte, I just want to remind the board members, just housekeeping issue, or item, not an issue. Just remember to get your superintendent evaluations in for Thursday to Ms. Crane. So, Ms. Lafitte, Finance Committee.
Finance Committee, let's roll. Call the Finance Committee for Monday, September 11th. Order. The agenda's there before you, if I can have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve it.
Mr. Acuto.
Second.
Item number 1, to consider approval of the minutes of August 7th, 2023, as written. Any changes? Ms. Neely made a motion. Second. Number 2, to receive financial reports for the prior month.
All right. I have a lot. Can I put this down so I can spread it out? I'm going to come around so I can hand this to you individually. This is just something I put together because Mr. Bonin was asking about sales tax. Mr. Green had asked about it, so I went back and I did some research, pulled some financials. Thank you. And also, with it being down internet, I couldn't send it. So, let's look at all of the financials. That's just going to be a piece of it. That's going to be part of the sales tax. But we'll open up the financial documents first. So if we want to open those, the millage, there's nothing that's really drawing my attention to that we need to be concerned about. There has not been any revenue coming in on that, as we're not going to receive our revenue for the most part for our millage until right around January. Our operation and maintenance expenses are right where they normally were as far as last year. We had a small increase on the salaries and benefit pieces. That was with the the certification, how would I say that word? Certificated maintenance staff that we all had talked about. And other than that, there wasn't anything that really drew my attention with millage. In general fund, I was excited to see that as from compared to last year's MFP funds to this year, and this does not include our October 1 counts. There was a 3% increase in our MFP revenue. Not a big jump, but a small bit. Our monthly revenue, just MFP last year, was around 2 million, I'll just say 2.9 million. This year, we're just a little over 3 million for our MFP monthly revenues. So we're doing pretty good with our MFP at the moment. Parish-wide debt fund, that is our payments on our bond proceeds. We just paid on our interest, so that's why you'll remember the last time when we were reviewing those, there hadn't been any activity. We don't make those payments until September and March, so we just made that payment because those are due September 1st and I think March 1st. So this was our interest payment. And you will also see that we had a fee for bond issuance because we have to pay for, there's a small portion that comes out of the bond proceeds in order the expenses to pay for the bond, essentially, the legal fees. Nothing that really brought my attention to school food service. We're right where we normally are with that. We're gonna pause on bond and we're gonna skip to sales tax really quick. And you can pull out your colored packet that I handed you. I gave you a linear graph to show you the trends. Obviously, we are receiving more in taxes of the school board. So the front page is your sales tax 90. We've gone up quite a bit over the years to come. Your revenue trends for 90 are on that second page. It's the colored ones. Colored bar chart, revenue trends for sales tax 90. You can see the purple ones are for fiscal year 24. So your revenue for 2024 for the month of, and it didn't take my new ones, but for, we'll say August, this one right here on your second page, this should be July and August. Your purple one's a lot higher, okay?
So it should be,
That
instead of
should be
January,
July,
February,
August. Yeah, it
across
should be
the.
July, August. It didn't take my copy and paste.
Okay.
I was working in Google Sheets, so I was trying to get this done. We are higher this month than where we have been in the past. 90, if you keep if you keep flipping through 66, you can see we are still increasing on the revenues for 66. Same on your colored chart for your revenue trends for 1966. Again, in this month, we are fairly doing well compared to the last several years. On your last page is going to be the easiest page to understand. Percent of change for fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 24. If we look at sales tax 66 from July of last year compared to this year, there was a 5% growth. And if we look at August from last year to this year, there was a 19% growth. If we are going to look at the expense side of things, because remember I said we don't always just want to look at the growth of the revenue, we need to also look at the expenses. In July, there was a 20% decrease in your expenses. And in August, there was only a 0.3% decrease. And if we look at our sales tax 90, July, there was a 6% growth from last year, and again, 19% growth from last year. Your 90 is going to be different because this is your Maryville one. These are going to be different because one of your sales tax pays your retirees and the other one doesn't. So that's why you're going to see those differences. So there's a 3% decrease in your expenses for July, and there's no change in August. Okay? And I'll add that column. Mr. Green and Mr. Bowman asked me to add those percent over changes to your sales tax sheets, and I'll get those added for next month's forms.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so this is great. Thank you for this. On the 90, just looking, I mean, I'm sure that it would be similar on the 66, but these numbers that we're seeing, is this just like for the year? What can you help me understand
That's why
what this?
I want to be able to use these boards because it'll be easier so I can point up to those as well. So if you are looking at, you wanna look at this one? on
Yeah,
your
just,
blue
yeah,
one?
that's
Okay,
fine.
so
Just
if
that
we're
nine,
looking
that
at-
9 million,
Yep,
9.9.
this would be your total revenue for fiscal year 17. For sales tax 90, that first dot right there.
Okay,
In fiscal year 2017, that is what Beauregard Parish brought in for a total revenue of
Okay.
2017. So we're looking at 5.4 in 2017 compared to 9.9 in 23.
right. And then so for 24,
We're comparable
we're,
compared to last year.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm hoping that they're gonna look the same, our sales tax supplements. Now, there was a end fund balance at the audit after I came in. So sales tax revenues, well, not sales tax revenues, sales tax disbursements were a little higher last year because there was an end fund balance when I came in that I paid out last year. So I can show you those as well if you want those figures. Because to policy, we can only have 300,000 in there, so I paid out as much as I could pay out to get it out to that 300,000.
Right. Well, it's just, I mean, and we all know what inflation's doing to our dollar every day, but it's just, I just wanted to kind of wrap my brain around what, I knew that we had seen an increase, but I just wanted to kind of get a picture of what it looks like. I mean, from 17 to 23 in the 6-year span, that's an 83% increase in 90.
And I think, and Mr. Lesage, correct me if I'm wrong, I think as well in the last several months with Amazon home sales, we're now collecting that tax as well because we're receiving those goods within our parish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is increasing our taxes
Absolutely.
substantially.
Yeah, and that's something we've discussed in previous meetings before. Is just that for the longest time, because of our geography, we suffered.
Yeah.
But the internet is actually is
Helping
finally
us.
helping us to level the playing field a little
So
bit.
keep shopping online. And local, keep shopping local, because we need to support local as well. We love our boutiques. God, we love our boutiques.
Ms. Carter, this is awesome.
I appreciate
A
it.
very good visual.
I would like you now to look at your two bond ones really quick. There's not much I really want to talk about, but I just want to show you the fact now that because we have two bond issues, you're now going to receive two different bond statements, essentially. So you will get the normal bond tracker that we get for 2019. We'll keep that one looking the same way it does. It's tracking all of your bond projects that we have, and at the bottom, the current debt that we're going into the general fund reserve. And then what we are now going to start seeing is a bond 23 project breakdown. This is broken down by individual schools. Every school had essentially a wish list, and you all had looked at it based upon safety and security and everything that was brought to the public. So I listed this out on here. As we move along into the projects, I'm keeping more track on a more in-depth spreadsheet that I can hand out to you as well. It's just going to be a little bit more detailed than this. So this is going to show you your initial bond drawdown of what we initially received the day that we got our funds dispersed. I'm currently working in the project with Chase to have both of these bonds separated, so we're earning interest on both of these bond issues separately. And so you'll start to see that as well on here. And your month-to-month actual expenditures for each of those. Did anybody have any questions regarding the financial statements?
This is just more information. So you said that there was a slight increase in our MFP dollars. Isn't it in October we have a count? Yeah. Okay. What are our numbers looking like this year? Say again?
First time, plus 13.
Okay.
As of Friday last week is the first time in the last 8 years, maybe 9 years, that we haven't shown a decrease in our student population. To give you, every 6 students is a teacher's salary.
Every 6 is a
Every
teacher's
6.
salary?
Every 6, it's roughly $9,200 per student, depending on if they're classified as special education or regular education. And so with benefits, and that's first-year teacher pay, with benefits and retirement, that's every 6 students. So plus 13 is, that's how I look at it. Is as we grow as students, we continue to increase our work staff.
Well, I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
This being the breakdown, is there going to be a more itemized tracking?
I have a more itemized one on my actual computer. I am going off of the project breakdown list that has been given to me that you all have discussed with Mr. Hawley, as far as what the actual
And I can
projects
actually
are.
explain all three of those real quick for
Yes.
informational purposes. The 22,000 is for weights at the weight room at East Boulevard. 37,000, I think it's
You need it.
32,000 is the 20-ton unit for Maryville's ag wing. And the KR Hanchey is their front office and their cafeteria. It's all under the, it was an easy fix because it's all stuff that Mr. Green and I could get subbed out without having an architect or engineer. The bigger things, project-based, we'll start seeing as architects finish their renderings and drawings.
Thank you.
So,
Do we have any idea when that,
September 17th, it will be delivered and installed.
Okay.
And it's installed by the end of the month. There is going to be some duct work that has to be done because what we have right now, but we're hoping to have that done by hopefully quicker than the end of the month. But there is that, and then Mr. Morgan, with the architectural firm we contracted with, has finished his parish-wide sweep. We are going to meet next Wednesday. He is going to have everything ready to go out, and hopefully we'll be voting on a bid for the October meeting to upgrade our parish ACs.
I went by today and visited those classrooms that have those portable units in it. I don't know where Mr. Green is, but they are working, and they were also installing AC units, window units in the other part of the school. So, got cool classrooms.
I do have to take this opportunity to say thank you to Mr. Green for all the work that he's been here and there, and going as far as Jennings and Opelousas to pick up window units and just try to flood us through. He's done a great job. I'm very proud of everything this has been able to do in an uncomfortable situation.
Literally, yeah, I'm like sweating, uncomfortable.
Okay, no more questions from Ms. Carpenter?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve
Yes.
these. Okay, I need a motion to approve the financials as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Green, a second. Mr. Shirley, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Item number 3, to consider entering into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Boulevard Solar LLC. And Mr. Jimmy Lestage is gonna walk us through this.
Yeah, you should have that in front of you. Move it that way. You should have those in your package. I think all of you are fairly familiar with the premise. It's 35 years, about 1.1 million a year split between the entities that would usually get that money. And this is not an either-or type deal. This is not we take regular taxes or we do this pilot program, which is paid in lieu of taxes. This is the pilot program or it goes to another parish. So that's where we are on this deal. It's about 470,000 or so, maybe a little bit more for the police jury. I'm sorry, for the school board. The police jury will get a portion of that. The sheriff will get a portion of that. It'll be split basically just as a regular sales tax would. I'm sorry, a property tax would. The only difference is some of the entities that the police jury funds, like the Civic Center and so forth, they won't get their normal percentage. The police jury will take care of whatever they need to take care of out of their regular budget, as they usually do anyway. Sales tax, however, is another portion of the agreement, of the cooperative endeavor agreement. It'll be split up the same way the sales taxes would be. So we're looking at sales tax as well, 41% of whatever that was. I think there is an estimate. I don't remember exactly what that is. There is plenty of time to get the numbers kind of in line and see exactly what they are. You're looking at 18 months, I believe, just to get wetland approval. So it's a new process. It's an 18-month process. You're looking at another 18 months of construction. So you're looking at probably 2027 or so before we start seeing any money anyway. This is not right around the corner. It's down the road a little bit. But assuming all goes well, I mean, it's a nice little chunk that you can factor into your budget for 35 years. And of course, with inflation, it may be, worth less than it was at the front end of this deal, but it was easier to structure it this way, I think, for the jury and for everybody else. So I would encourage you to consider entering into this cooperative endeavor. Be happy to answer any questions. Mr. Brian McReynolds is also here, the parish administrator. If there's some technical questions about the actual solar plant, he may be able to answer.
I do have some questions.
Yeah.
So it's 35 years is what you just said, correct?
Yep.
Okay. How is it decided? So I know the school board, we don't collect taxes then precinct level or a road district level. But for the police jury's sake, how is it decided where the taxes are collected? Like, why is it in District 5?
Because that's the road district where there's two districts, it's 4 and 5.
Okay.
Which are the two road districts that would receive property taxes for that particular location.
Okay, then we need to correct this.
It is, there should be a corrected version. I may have sent him the wrong one. There is a corrected version with 4 and 5 in it.
Okay. That was my biggest concern, because it looks like about a third of the solar plant is in District 4.
It is, that's correct.
And for 35 years, I sure would like to collect
Sure,
that money.
yeah. Let me make sure I give Mr. Holly a correct version of that.
Okay.
I thought I sent the updated one, but I may not have.
No worries.
But yeah, you're correct, it's 4 and
Okay.
5.
All right, well,
It says not 5. It
I've been
should say
hearing some
4.
rumblings, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, I hope you put those to rest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Aside
And
from
they're
that, this is
actively
great.
going through this, even now, they're looking at this to make sure we've got all the i's dotted and t's crossed as far as who would receive those things and where they go, and that was certainly a discrepancy that was overlooked, but it was resolved, I guess, 3 weeks ago. So that may be an old copy that was printed out, or maybe I sent the wrong one.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So you say if all's go well, we're looking at 3 years down the road
For the start, or for
for
receiving
receiving
money?
money.
Yeah, we'll start receiving the sales tax money when they start construction. So 18 months after that or thereabouts, factor in rain delays, weather delays, and so forth. So upon completion, it'll transfer, and upon that transfer, the actual 35 years will start running with the other payments.
What Mr. Lestodge is saying is that for 18 months of the construction aspect, it will not be the pilot program. They will fall under regular ITEP tax collection.
That's correct. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, so you're talking about 3 years.
For the sales tax portion, that's right.
Right.
I think that was clear. I hope it was clear, but yeah, two different deals.
So I see there's two different distribution options. Does each governing body decide their own desire and how they want it distributed, or do all of us have to agree? The school board, the police jury, sheriff, we all agree on the same distribution?
Yeah, let me see what you said.
It's number A and B.
Yeah, so the even distribution is what the parish decided to go with. Like I said, because of the budgeting factors and other things. So it's the 1.1 million a year for 35 years as opposed to the staggered distribution.
So there's really no option?
Not anymore, no. That was an option that the jury was presented with for the Industrial Development Board, but that's what they decided to do.
So Exhibit B is not,
So B is not,
yeah, I'm not following.
So-
Exhibit B is nothing,
Yeah,
that's irrelevant.
Yeah, that was the police jury's.
So we look at Exhibit A.
Exhibit A would be, let me see.
what they gonna be going with?
It would just be,
Exhibit A.
it would be the even distribution. Owens.
Right, yeah, that's,
I don't even know what I did with that.
No, but Exhibit B is sales tax. That's not the property tax. That's different. There,
It's two
he's
different,
talking about options and we're talking about.
Oh, I'm looking.
That's two separate things.
right. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, but Exhibit B is a complete different thing. It's a sales tax, so that's only gonna be during construction when they're
During
buying
construction,
things.
got you, okay.
And so that's a typical sales tax collection issue.
oh, so when they do the construction.
So construction
sales
had
tax
no
is
say
not-
in the
During
Yeah.
construction, we're gathering, we're collecting.
Apparently not.
Yes,
We gave up $8 million.
After construction.
That's what I'm saying. They had no say.
yeah, that's the way
That's
that
the way
I
I understand it.
Okay.
Jared, can I see what's in there? Okay, all right. So you're talking, yeah, those, I was looking at a different sheet than you all were.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on a different page.
Yeah,
I
me
looked
too.
at the column the other day.
So,
and I
yeah,
was like,
Exhibit B on that particular page is the sales
Sales
tax.
tax,
Okay.
which is during construction.
That's correct.
Okay. And then after construction, it shifts to Exhibit A.
That's correct.
Okay, under Exhibit A, why are there two school board?
Because that's how the taxes are structured, the property
Okay.
tax, but they're by law.
Okay.
Those come in for two different, villages that are.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we, as the school board, do we not collect over 50%? No?
I don't think so. These are the percentages that are collected, as I recall, is that? Yeah, that's
That's
correct.
right.
42.1.
Right.
You mean for sales tax or for?
The
Both,
ad valorem
actually.
is what I'm looking at.
I'm looking at, I want to consider both.
that was sales tax.
I want to make sure that it's reflective of everything that we're currently doing.
Yeah, no, I want to make sure that's correct as well. I think that's correct. We've gone over those numbers, and I think that is the percentage on both of those. Is that
Actually, it's a
right?
little bit more than you normally receive.
Percentage-wise,
Yes.
sales tax or ad valorem?
Ad valorem.
Okay.
Sales taxes, you just look at it based on what you normally get.
Just flat
Okay.
across
So you
the
get about
board.
$6 million in that first 18 months, based on 14.2 million. Now, this is all estimated, right? We don't know the price of the solar panels are being. That's a rough number, 6 million.
Okay.
And it would be in monthly payments?
I think so, let me do it.
I recall it monthly, but it may not be. But it's not two lump sums or one lump sum. It will come in.
So at least quarterly.
Right.
You don't have to.
Take it.
Is that standard, Mr. Carlos?
So,
Okay.
you just-
Yeah, come on, please.
So on the two options where you saw the 13.8 million and there's a 43 million, just so you know, those are net present value neutral. It's the same dollars today. So it's not like you're leaving several $1 million on the table with those two options. Just wanted to make that clear. If you roll that back into today's dollars, it's the same money. Because the distributions aren't equal, right? And money today is more valuable than money in the future. Plus, it allows you to have an equal distribution so you can plan better for your budgets. It won't be varying over time.
Which is a good thing for,
Is it, you're right.
for a board that operates on an annual budget. Thank you.
No, I'm good, thank you. I'll be happy to try to answer anything, but like I said, I mean, it'd be our recommendation that we enter into that. Same thing with the sheriff. He's approved that. We're all, after discussing this on the same page, everybody was worried that percentages were going to be cut differently, but now it is just as it would be with a property tax. I'm not saying the money would be exactly the same, but like I said, you get this, or we're just out of the game, and somebody else is going to deal with that in Allen Parish or Calcasieu, or wherever that may be.
Most likely.
Well, I'll make a motion that we enter into an agreement, a cooperative endeavor agreement with Beauregard Solar LLC.
Mr. Bowman made a motion, is there a second? Mr. Green or Mr. Thibodeau?
Oh,
I'll second.
Mr. Thibodeau.
And just just to clarify, that'll be a cooperative endeavor between the entities in the parish, the police jury, the school board, the sheriff, and so forth. So we'll all enter into that agreement to split that money as it is on that document.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Lestage.
There you go.
Okay, number 4, to consider industrial tax exemption program, ITIP, renewal request from PCA.
Hello, just to introduce myself, I recognize some of y'all from last year. I'm Hillary Wolf. I'm the mill controller here at the PCA mill, and I've also got John Lee
This
with
is
me.
John Lee, Tax Director with PCA Corporate Office in Illinois.
Between the two of us.
What was your title again?
My title?
Yes, sir, your title.
Oh, Tax Director.
Okay.
Oh,
There's a speaker right
Oh,
there. So,
excuse me.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the Tax Director.
Tax director.
Yeah.
Okay. I need your card
Sure.
before you leave, please. Thank you.
And we're here to answer any questions that you all may have for the 2 applications that are up for renewal.
Are we creating any new jobs?
No, both of these projects are for job retention. They're to continue to improve our machines and the back end. One of the projects is for our paper machines. The other project is for the back end of our mill. And it's continuing to improve so that we can sustain our equipment so that we can continue to run our products.
Would it make it more efficient?
Yes, a lot of these were improvements. As y'all remember, PCA acquired Boise Inc. back in 2013. So these were some projects, some of the first big projects that PCA did. And it has substantially increased the amount of production that we can do. We are doing upgrades constantly, trying to get things to where PCA needs them to be at PCA standards. So that's what some of these projects were some of the initial investments after the acquisition.
With these efficiencies, do we risk losing some of our jobs in this parish?
No.
No, we don't risk losing any jobs. I mean, it's a line, product we produce a line of work commodity product. In order to stay competitive, PCA has about 100 locations throughout the country. They all compete for a set amount of capital expenditure. And it is something like the ITEP program that actually helps the Ritter Mill get these capital expenditure approval from corporate, which will then in turn help the efficiencies and retain the job. We have about 600 employees. Our payroll is at about $60 million annually for the last several years. And it is crucial to keep upgrading and adding new machinery and equipment in order to keep those jobs there.
I mean, how many employees you say you have
We have about 600.
here?
Here at the mill, yes,
the mill.
close to
At the
600.
mill.
Is there any other future plans that y'all see that probably can increase it, bring in more jobs?
I will say, PCA is always looking for different opportunities. We can't tell you, what the future looks like, but we are, the powers to be are always looking for different opportunities, and these tax exemption programs definitely helps DeRitter in continuing to spend money within our parish, because we are competing within our own sister mills, for capital expenditures. So programs like this makes it more beneficial for PCA as a company to invest here versus somewhere else.
Yeah, I just don't.
I can tell you that back in 2013, when PCA acquired Boise, our baseline headcount at the Ritter Mill is about 455. Now it's at 600. So we're not making any. It has been increasing, but that's just from just expansion, but we're not really making any promises for job increases, but it has, as you can see, over the last 7, 8 years, we have grown another 150 from what it was 450 when PCA took over Boise.
I have a question. Looking at these two items up for renewal, the
Yes.
number 2 turbine generator and paper machine upgrade, these originally came through in 2016. So I'm assuming those projects, since it's been 7 years, have been completed.
Yes.
Are we
Yeah.
just still looking for exemption on those products with the hopes of,
They were completed in 2017, so the first year of the exemption were 18 through 22. That's the first 5 years of exemption at 100%. This renewal is for 80% for 3 additional years.
so we're not actually upgrading, we're just getting
The
an
upgrade
exemption?
for these projects are completed.
Yes.
So, have the taxes been paid for part of this time that you're requesting exemption for?
The exemption is from 2023, and that tax is being paid in December. It has not been paid. The first year of the renewal is 23, so it goes 23, 24, and 25. The 23 will be paid in December. It has not yet to be paid.
So the tax period years that have occurred so far, we've been at 100% exempt. So
Correct.
therefore, we've not paid any tax
No.
on these projects yet.
No.
So this coming December will be at the 80% if this is approved instead of the 100.
So when this was brought 5 years ago, I don't remember, I just remember 5 years. I don't remember 5 plus, we're gonna come back for 3 more. So what's changed? Just new tax law or?
No, when we consider these projects for approval at different plants across the country, we look at all the different exemptions that we are able to get and look at what kind of return we could get on the investment, including the exemptions we could get. And we look at the entire term, not just the 5 years, but we look at the 8-year projected tax exemption to look at the attractiveness of the projects in order to approve or disapprove the capital expenditure.
So what would be the projected estimate of you're paying 20%? What is the 20%?
The 20% on, well, the one project, 2016, 16, 23, we spent, the investment was about $31 million. And the tax on the 20% on that would be, I would say, about, over a 3-year period, about $300,000.
So about 100,000
Yeah.
a year.
And then the other 2016 1851, our investment on that was $8 million. And I want to say the 20% of that, of the tax that we'd be paying on that would be somewhere around about 100, a little less than 100.
Those are total tax
Those are total tax numbers for the.
numbers. You
for-
wouldn't realize all of it.
That's for the 3 years, for the 3-year renewal period.
For all,
Obvi-
for all taxing.
Yeah, for property taxes
Yeah,
in
for-
total,
for-
yes.
Yeah, in property tax in total, yes.
Mr. Holly, so the ITEP program has actually changed since they first were approved in this, right? And so that's why, can you help, can you? No, okay. Just with the ITEP, or yeah, Brian, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was given 100% because that was the only option originally, we were 100%. Now they've gone from, they changed the regulation, so it's 80%, you give an 8% break or you give 0%. So the 80%, and then that's for 5 years, they let you renew 3 more with those same criteria. Either 80% or you don't give them anything. So that's what's changed. It was 100%.
Yeah.
And we really had little option, you know. Well, it went through a big metamorphosis in the beginning. It seems like the rates were changing every few months.
Yes.
But now it's fairly stable, 5 years, 80%, and you can extend that for a 20-year period, that's what we're asking.
And that's what they're asking.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McReynolds.
Any questions? So we're gonna, just so we're clear, we're gonna extend these two ITIPs for 3 more years at 80%.
If a
Correct?
motion passes.
If the motion, I'm just recapping it in my mind, okay? If the motion passes.
May I ask, Mr. McManus, has the police jury taken this up yet? Has the police jury taken this up?
We took no action.
I don't plan on taking any action or making a motion personally.
More questions?
Do all the governing bodies have to agree?
I don't think so, I think it's a percentage.
Do I hear a motion to approve the ITIP request from PCA? No motion, so the motion dies, or I mean, there's no motion.
We move on to the next
We
item.
move on to the next item.
There's no other discussion.
No discussion.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, item number 5, to consider distribution of state aid supplement. Ms. Carpenter?
Okay, I've got more to hand out. This is for your, this is for your references. There are some rules and guidelines as far as how the certificate, I cannot talk tonight, how a certified and support stipends need to be paid out, and it has to be on record. So I printed out the state guidance for you all. I highlighted the specific ones that really hold any pertinence for any of you. The rest of it really is for accounting purposes. We can go through these just because we do have to have these in board minutes. Some of them are just for the record. We know what a stipend is. It's the one-time non-recurring payment to employees. The stipend amounts that are included in the allocation we received from the state are the $2,000 for the certified employees and $1,000 for the support staff. And then if you want to turn the rest of your paperwork to page 5, what are the question reads, what are the required timelines for distribution of the stipend? And the state guidance says the distribution schedule for the stipend is a local decision as long as the total stipend amount is paid to the staff prior to May 1st of 2024. Distribution of the funds in one payment in fall 2023 or distribution in 2 payments such as one in fall, you can do it as however y'all want, but as long as it is done by May 1st of 24, all of the allocated funds. The next question reads, must the school board approve these funds prior to the distribution of the stipends to employees? Yes, prior to the distribution of the stipends, the school board must adopt the stipend distribution plan. The next one, and I bring this to you because we've already approved the salary schedule for this year. Normally, we already have this information when we're bringing you the salary schedules, but this year it's coming a little later. If the local school board has already approved the salary schedule for the year, is a separate vote and approval needed to amend the plan for the stipends? Yes, if the salary schedule has already been approved, an amendment to the plan is necessary in order to implement the distribution plan for the stipends. What documentation must be in place to substantiate approval of the distribution plan by the school board? As we're having tonight, minutes from the school board meeting must be available to substantiate the approval by the school board. I would need to have those for whatever state requests that they send me and including for my audit purposes. So what you all would need to do is to really, one, approve the $2,000 stipend for the certified, $1,000 stipend for the support, and you will also need to decide on a date. Also, if you want to do it as one payment or two payments. I would recommend, if that's okay if I do so, one payment. I'm not sure, I've heard they'd like to see one payment, they like it all in that one-time payment. But that's your call, when you want to do it, how you want to do it. You just got to tell me, and we need it. Ms. Pam, write it out.
One-time payment as soon as possible.
So, yeah, I guess that I was gonna ask is when is as soon as possible?
And the other thing I would really like for all of you to make it very well known is that you need to be an active employee at the time of this distribution. You cannot have resigned and then look for this distribution. Ask why you didn't get this. So if you're gonna make this effective date, we'll just say November 1st, and you resign with an effective date of something before that, they need to understand they are not actively employed and they're not getting it. They also need to be employed by a specific date as well.
That's what I was gonna ask him, what's the
yes.
hire date?
So, it is I'm thinking that there is really not much guidance on that, what the hire date is. I'm saying that I can look into it, I can ask the state, but there isn't, I don't see a hire date in
It's
it.
at the start of the school year.
The start of the school year, so the start of the first day of
Anybody who
school
is
or July
employed.
1?
Anybody who is employed previous to July 1 is still an employee, but anybody who starts this school year as an employee, whether it be 4-day on August 8th or 24th.
Not fiscal year, like actual
fiscal year,
actual
like
school year.
School year.
Is eligible for the payment.
Okay.
So if we were to pass this, could this be on the September check?
No. It could, what, for September 28th check, this is not gonna be included on a payroll check. This is gonna be an individual
Well,
check.
in that pay period.
We can
And
go
then-
out at any time, then.
What was that?
It can go out at any time, then.
It can, but you have to understand, a payroll takes us at least 2 weeks to run. This doesn't happen 24 hours. I
That's
also
what
have a
I'm
payroll accountant out right now that is on emergency health
Yeah.
leave as well, so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like, how quick can you do it?
Yeah,
I think that's what we're getting at.
That's
is
what
like-
we're asking, is
yeah.
how quick can you do it?
so you most likely,
If we wanna have this paid to them as soon as possible, what's today's date?
11th.
You give us a date and we'll.
you said
October
2 weeks.
6th?
Is the pay date?
Yes.
Like it.
Fair week.
That's even better.
Even
That's
better.
vacation for a lot of people.
Hey, these teachers
Can't
are
cost that
gonna
much
be
to ride a
like,
ride.
"Woo-hoo, we're taking our kids to the fair."
Hey,
I think
Put it right back in.
That gives
Calcasieu
that
is
gives
like
Selena some
October
time to get
12th,
through this
something like
first
that.
crazy payroll, because this payroll is very difficult to run. This is our first payroll of the school year with all of our 9-month employees. That gives Miss Kimmy some breathing time as well, trying to get Miss Selena coming back from her stuff that she's got going on, and I can run this, and that's payroll that I'll be able to run because it's before board week when I gotta get with you guys.
Is it harder to write checks that say October, what'd you say, October 7th? 6th?
I just
And
plug
then
in the
again, October 28th, or is it easier to do it at once, at the end of the month? Does it make a difference?
It doesn't make a difference. We have to run them as two separate ones anyways, because it's easier for our reporting purposes. So when we're pulling the data we need to pull. We keep those kinds of documents. When we run our payroll check history, I can pull it as, this was that stipend payroll, and the only thing that's in that payroll is that stipend distribution.
Do you have a question, Mr. Rochelle?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what was the whole total that the state gave us for the stipend?
Oh, I even, hang on, I printed that out for you. $1,206,668, 1,000,000, I can't read this, $1.2 million.
Okay.
I need better glasses, Miss Christie. They figure it out on our October 1 numbers from last year of 22, based upon our certified employees.
And if there's a change,
Yeah, but
do we pick that up?
Yes,
or-
sir.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. What happens
if
if there is a,
So there, right now, I calculated based upon who we've hired, and their numbers were off by one person. So we're good.
So we can handle it.
And I will tell you this, in the past, when all of these things have gone through, including state pay raises, it's always been calculated on this, and it is we've never gotten enough. There's always been a little bit that has had to come out of the reserve to cover these kinds of expenses.
You can't call them and ask them for more.
I would love to call them and ask them for a lot more. A lot
Does it
more.
work that way? Okay.
Yes, I wish it worked that way.
So you need two motions from us.
Yep.
One to approve the stipend and the second one to approve the plan, the distribution.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So do I hear a motion to approve the $2,000 for certified staff and the $1,000 for support staff?
I make a motion.
Okay,
We all
everybody-
want to.
Miss-
Give it to
Miss
her.
Archer, you just take your pick, because we're all for this. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Do we vote on it?
Second.
We need to officially vote.
We have to.
Oh, you have to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I did things out of order. Now the motion carries. Okay. All right, the second motion,
October 6th.
Is the
okay.
date.
So do I hear a motion to
Make a motion to distribute the stipend October 6th,
October 6th,
2023.
2023? Okay.
That's a good point.
And the full amount,
And the
and
full
the full amount to each category. Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Woo-hoo. Thank you, Ms. Carpenter.
And just to be clear that, as you said, full amount, 2,000 and 1,000 is gross.
Gross.
There's
That is
taxes
correct.
and retirement taken out of that.
Right.
Okay.
And these are for, do we need to 3 months, say, active teachers?
As of the 6th.
As of the 6th, okay. Okay, item number 6, to receive information regarding the Plexos contract. Mr. Holly.
This will be a group effort between Mr. Ensminger, Ms. Ashley, and myself. For those of you who don't know, and pretty much everyone in the room knows, that we entered into a contract with Plexos as a consultant to recover damages through FEMA from Hurricane Laura and Delta. As of to date, we have paid Plexos Company $800,000 roughly, and we have recouped around $668,000 from FEMA and said damages. We're sitting within GOSEF itself, which is the state government agency that works between FEMA and the local agencies. There's about 1.9 million encumbered. With that being said, we are continuously paying Plexos, and month and month and month has gone by with no recovery. There has been lots of issues with, speaking specifically for South Beauregard Upper Elementary, where the original damage inspection that was done only included the cafeteria and the 6th grade administration wing. The 4th and 5th grade hall was not entered in and completed. In February, Ms. Lafitte and Mr. Bowman and I met with Plexos representatives and all the financial department heads in this building at that time, which we reiterated we're running out of time, as February 28th of 2024 will be the last day for files to be made with recovering money with FEMA. And just to give you a brief overview, speaking only FEMA money, South Boulevard Upper Elementary's construction and refurbishment from storm damages is $8.4 million. We were paid out through FEMA on that project $16,000. So that means the ad valorem budget has incurred, our reserves have incurred the restoration of that building. That does not include the roofs from the auditorium back to the high school, with one building still having a temporary roof, that is our gym and cafeteria. So we have, since Mr. Ensminger has come on board, he has taken this project on as his main project because of the urgency, because of the need, with assistance from Ms. Carpenter and myself with what we know. This discussion tonight is to decide if we are want to continue with Plexos, or in this midnight hour, release them from the contract, which by their contract that you have now, all it takes is a 30-day written notice, and seek another consultant to help recoup damages. Mr. Ensminger has been discussing with other agencies, particularly those out of Calcasieu and Allen. If you've noticed the media over the last couple of months, Calcasieu has steadily got large sums of money on their properties. Now, they still, if you drive through to Quincy, you'll notice that there's still construction that, just like us, that needs to happen. But at this point, we're maxed out. There's no more that we can do, that we can cover, and we need to recover as much from FEMA as possible. So that being said, Mr. Ensminger?
So we've carried on conversations with them back and forth, and it's the money's there, but there's paperwork not. There's cotton contractors tied up in it. There's a group called Deloche that's in there, and we're dealing with multiple problems. Talking to Calcasieu Parish School Board, they said that they've moved forward with about. Covered about $300 million out of the $400 million. So, it's an ongoing battle, but they felt like they can go to switch consultants now would be to terminate one, then go out for an RFP, because that's the only way that FEMA would pay. So then we would have to take the lowest bid on the next provider to recoup that money. And like Mr. Holly said, we spent about $800,000, whether that money can be recouped recovered once we go through the process with GOSEP. We talked to Mr. Casey Tingle, who's over GOSEP. We have a GOSEP liaison looking at our summary pages. That it's spread out over debris cleanup, buildings, playgrounds. Of course, the bulk of its buildings. We discovered the other day that they didn't have interior damage on the building in South. So we pulled our file of pictures, and then we bought Celotex for that building and resubmitted that to FEMA, trying to recover that. But, it's hard to have the roof compromised and not have interior damage. And we're sitting at 3-year plus mark just to discover that now.
How much money do we owe them? Are we flush with
We're
them?
paying it monthly. It's $125 an hour.
Yeah.
Every time we pick up the phone, and I haven't met with them at all, but face to face. Calcasieu has people that are embedded in their office, and I think we did on the start, but there hasn't been anybody here. Quite a while.
This, can we sue them?
Like, it makes me mad.
Like, can we, like, I'm just, that may be the wrong question, but 3 years and we've got, it sounds like they haven't done anything and we've paid them almost $1 million. And so, yeah, I'm kind of aggravated. And so,
I have asked that question, how we would recover that money.
Yeah.
With the paperwork and completion of the projects, FEMA is supposed to refund us what we paid this company to help us out. And that's the reason we didn't have to go out for an RFP on the other. They did go out for a bid type. I think they had like a 24-hour window. They had 7 people that proposed a bid on that. That's how they chose this. But at this point, since it's not an emergency at this point, we would have to do RFP and take the bid. And I've talked to Calcasieu and Jeff Davis, who have had extensive damages. We did. So,
Do they have a consulting,
yes.
and is that,
Do they have the same consulting company? No.
I would say not
have
with
not.
what they've been getting.
Day one,
But they're both having success.
yes.
Yeah.
So you say all we need is rain the 30-day?
Yes. It says either party may terminate this agreement at any time with or without cause. Upon 30 days prior written notice with the other client may terminate by written notice at any time with or without cause in whole or in part.
So once we do the 30-day, within that 30-day, we can go ahead and pursue another representative?
That's what I understand.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to have calls for FEMA to reimburse us? You know, is there a process to their reimbursement
We've
if the
been
way
told
we
that there
terminate this?
is- This is another one of those things that is less than thrilling. Is we've been told from the beginning that there is this Z form, no explanation of it, but is your reimbursement based on your invoices. But every time we ask to start the process, we get the double speak. So, okay, well, let me get this, this, and this. To just give you a brief look at the last 10 days, I've met with architects that are working over the South Boulevard Upper project, where Plexus has reached out to them, wanting them to complete some work for Plexus, with architects saying to me, what's your thoughts on this? Your guy reached out to us, and they should have this. That's their job. Being contacted by our previous insurance adjuster 2 weeks ago, with Plexus reaching out to them, wanting them to provide additional information that I have sat through myself numerous meetings where it was shared. To me, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. I think we're going to be February 24th or 28th of 2024, and we're going to be stuck eating this loss. When Ms. Lafitte was with us and they talked about, quote, low-hanging fruit, that low-hanging fruit was the 600 and something thousand in contents that was there for us to get. But from February's meeting till now, nothing. We were supposed to have bi-weekly meetings. That lasted for about 2 weeks. The representative took another out-of-the-country vacation, was gone for a month, and when they get back in touch with us, there's no effort made. It's a request for the same documents over and over. Ms. Carpenter has done Plexo's job. We should be billing them with the amount of invoices that she has collected and submitted over and over and over again.
It's an easy one.
Yeah.
And just for clarity's purposes, and I say this this conversation tonight is a transparency conversation. Mr. Ensminger, myself could say, fire them today, it's a service. And per policy, the board doesn't have to grant service, but we are working together. I would not make a move like this without everybody hearing and being in agreement, because that's how we're going to operate, continue to operate. I will tell you, I do have some reservations because we've come this far, and is it the next hill that we climb and then we get the money? Or have we come this far and we cut ties and we get nothing? But the question you have to ask yourself is, do we get nothing either way?
Yeah, right. I mean, look 45 minutes south. That answers your question.
Yeah.
Well, as this being just a discussion, if anyone has any strong feelings, I think now is the time to either express them, or if we're in an agreement, then Mr. Ensminger, myself, and then of course I will visit with Mr. Lesage just to let him look at the contract as well over this next week and probably have a decision made by Friday.
So we don't need a motion from the board. Do we need a motion to go out for RFP?
We will.
Okay,
You have to do this first.
Yeah, and our 30 days will put us back to October.
so we can't go out for RFP while we're in the termination phase? I don't know why we couldn't.
I'm not sure if you can while you're in the contract. That's something we can look on it and get back to you. My only concern though as well with that is we are already at the end of September, and where you have to write an RFP for what we need, how long we're gonna be out for advertising legally, how long, I mean, I don't, that's just my.
We would
So-
at least need to put everything in place.
That's.
So it
that's
can
where I
happen
was-
immediately,
Well,
yeah.
that's, my thought is if we made the motion, Mr. Lestage, you're here, I'm glad, so correct me, please. If we just have the motion and approved it, put it into place as soon as you need it. Soon as it, I mean, but can we make that motion this week, for example? I don't,
Just say consider, just say consider.
I mean, even if we say, I mean,
Now, there is some light at the end of this tunnel. We have learned that even though February 28th is the last day for submissions, extensions can be applied for. There is still, and in talking with Mr. Tingle and the governor, who was at Singer with us a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Tingle said they have just finished the last payouts from Rita. So we're talking circa 2004. So we are surviving, and we will survive and thrive, but I think that Boulevard Parish deserves to have their full reimbursement.
Absolutely.
do you want a motion from it?
Motion
For the RFP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as it's legally possible.
Yeah.
I guess I
Legally,
just maybe
right.
structure it that way.
If it's not, then we just have to do it again. Is that, I
We'll
mean,
get writing it and have it ready for you all to.
or maybe, or we can, would y'all be more comfortable if we just brought it back to the board Thursday in a separate agenda item?
We can,
Make a
we
motion
Just
can,
to,
that way.
and we'll make a
Okay.
motion,
I think that's a better course of action for us.
okay? Okay.
I think we're all in agreement though.
Yeah.
Should have happened 3 months ago.
Yeah, when we had that meeting.
We should have, I mean, yes. I think we met in February. We should have followed up in 3 months, and if it didn't happen, we should have done it then. So
Empty
it's okay.
promises.
Huh?
Empty
Yeah.
promises.
I know. Yeah. Okay. That concludes Finance Committee. Whew. Mr. Sandifer.
This time called to order the Buildings and Grounds Committee for September 11th, 2023. Committee members were myself as chairperson, Carlos Orchfield, Jared Thibodeau, Brian Redler, and Nikki Weldon. It's a separate agenda. We also need to approve the agenda as well, right? So do I have a motion to approve the agenda as is?
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. Thibodeau, second. All in favor, say aye. All right, so that moves us to agenda item 1, to consider approval of the minutes of the August 7th, 2023 Building and Grounds Committee meeting is written.
Second.
Thibodeau, second. I think we're just gonna go back and forth right here. All in favor? What you got? Good. It's a lot easier than yours. So agenda item 2 is to receive a maintenance report from Mr. Green.
Ms.
we
Archer, it
vote?
was Mr. Archfield.
Archfield.
Mr. Thibodeau seconded it.
Yep. Yeah, we're all here.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought you did say aye, right?
Yeah, I was like, let me chime in.
So, and Mr. Green did print out open and closed.
So,
Where's that
It's just one. We'll just
Oh,
pass it
okay.
on.
Yeah,
I'm
what
like-
y'all looking at, I didn't print out one for, everybody to have because it's just so much paper. But basically, after you pass it around, what you're looking at is there's 19 non-AC open tickets and there's 179 closed tickets, okay? Now on that, I highlighted a few that were AC related, but we took those out. There was 176 air conditioning work orders in the month of August alone. Okay, so that's, you can figure that out. It's a lot per day. It has slowed down a lot the last week, mainly I think because it's gotten a little cooler for one thing. But during that 2-week spell where the temperatures were 105, 107 and all that, it got ridiculous. We couldn't, most of our stuff we do, Maryville and Singer is Armsco, and pretty much everybody else right now is Calcasieu Mechanical, and neither one of them could keep up with their workload with us, much less everybody else that they, Calcasieu and all the surrounding areas that they cover. But we have, well, first of all, is there any questions on that? Okay. We have several temporary units that are out in the parish, mostly. We know about the ones at Maryville. We've had to add a few at K.R. Hanchey, and we have a bunch at South Beauregard Junior High right now because of the weather problem we had a few weeks ago. I'm going to update you on the 20-ton at Maryville. I already talked to Miss Neely about it, but we have a ETA of it arriving in Houston next week. And you might say, well, why didn't they just send it straight to Maryville? Well, they're trying to save us $15,000 is what Armsco is doing. Because if they'd have gone all the way to Maryville, it would have been an extra $15,000, which is hard to believe, but that's what they were charging from just like Houston to there. So Armsco told them to drop it off and they deliver it themselves. Also, along with that, once it gets there, they're going to bring it over as quick as they can. And so you're looking at probably anywhere from a week to 2 weeks to get it down, get all the duct work done, test it, and get it functioning. So just guessing, I would think it'd be operational by October is what I would hope for. Then that will, allow us to free up a lot of portables that we're using over there. I think there's like 10 or 12 that we have that we have from Herc. I've met with the AC engineer that's helping us replace with the bond our air conditioning. We've met 4 times with Mr. Chris Morgan. We've gone to every school in the parish along with his assistant. We've looked at every available air conditioner from mini splits to, the 20-ton and bigger, the chillers and everything. We've looked at all of that, and he's going to give us a report next week. He's gathering all the information. He's currently sending his assistant over here to take pictures of every unit that we've got down as a possible replacement. They're taking pictures of the model numbers and stuff so that they can make sure that when they put it out for bid that they're getting apples for apples. So what that looks like, because I know a lot of people and I've already talked to a few of you, but basically we have to get all this information gathered up because it is even though it seems like, well, why don't we just go ahead and go to Maryville and fix this one and replace this one at Singer and this one at EB, because it is all air conditioning and it's under the bond, then it's over $60,000 materials, which means it has to go out on bid. And a lot of people, including myself, didn't realize that, but that's the way it has to be. So through this process, after we get the information from the engineer, the hope is that we can get it out on bid. Kelly, we're hoping for October, correct? If he can get his information, which it looks like he's going to be able to, into us, we'll be able to get it out on bid in October, which puts it in your court in November to hopefully push on through, and then whoever gets the bid can start the process of actually getting the equipment and putting it in. So, any questions on that? We've started the landscaping process. This week, we should be able to start the final landscaping where they'll be going out to all the different campuses. We've started some in different places, but the overall one will start this week. We have about 3 weeks to complete that. Most of the campuses, just from being back in school, are already looking a lot better than they did a month ago. But with these things that we have in place that are supposed to take place with the landscaping, they should look really sharp afterwards.
And what schools is that affecting?
It's every school in the parish, and Title I even, and BAP, Bus Barn, even here on some of our stuff.
So they gonna do the back alley back here?
That's
What
what
do they do?
they're supposed to, yes, ma'am.
I was fixing to get my old meter out. Come help y'all out. You're bad back there.
It's gonna take more than a weed eater. But all that should be done within the month of September. We did have some major storm damage about 3 weeks ago at South Beauregard on all of the campuses, but mainly the high school and upper. Upper mostly suffered cosmetic stuff on the outside with the walkways that they use for the portable buildings. They were pretty much destroyed, almost totally taken out. We're battling back and forth. I've already got adjusters to come. I've got contractors to come to try to get quotes in. But we're battling back and forth with Cotton, who we pay enormous amounts every month for the facility, as to why we would have to pay for that. It's their property that we're borrowing or leasing. And so I don't know how it's going to come out, but we're still working on that. But we're going to, the first thing, if we have to, we'll fix it and then hopefully recoup it from them if we can't get them to fix it up front. But the gym, the main gym, the new gym, what we call the new gym, it's not new anymore, but it's one of the newer ones we have at South Beauregard. The roof was actually separated. There was about a 4-inch gap in the roof with insulation coming out in some of the places. We've gotten that. I contacted the engineer, he put me in touch with the manager, and he came in, got his, the people that actually put the roof on, they got up there and got it back to where it's weather-free right now. We don't have to worry about it getting any damage to the floor, the walls, or anything. But it is not a permanent fix. They're coming in and making that adjustment probably within the next couple of weeks. The football field.
Can I question? The roof itself detached at the gym, right?
Part of it did, yes.
Do they know why that happened? I mean, it didn't seem.
I mean, they've had trouble with that roof since it was constructed. You know, to be honest, it's just always been a problem one way or another.
So the people who installed that roof, are they installing more roofs on the new school? Or we gotta put them on a list?
I don't know, but if
A
they,
blacklist?
that's the problem with,
Put them on the
Put 'em on that
blacklist?
list, huh?
yeah, that's the problem with bids. You don't always know what you're getting. And that was one of the cases there. But no, that company don't cover. Yeah, and probably for that reason.
Hit and go.
But the football field at South had a bunch of electrical. It actually took the whole power box, blew it over, pulled some of the lines up. We did get that fixed in time for the football game this past weekend. It also, because of that weather, it affected some of the poles that have lights out. We've got one of those up today, and we should have the other one up tomorrow. We were expecting that. It was predicted it wouldn't be done till next week, so with homecoming this week, it's going to be nice if they can get all that up. The baseball and softball field had a lot of damage, electrical damage, fence damage. And then they had the front awning that goes into the gym, the whole inside basically gutted out and fell out. So a lot of damage that was done. A lot of people didn't know about it, but it's a whole lot. But we've got everything in place along with the pictures to recoup that. And then later, about a week later, we had another little windstorm, not as bad, but it was because of the first one, it dislocated one of the transformer wires and started a fire that Mr. Holly had to go address outside, but it turned out that it also sparked and shorted out a lot of things in the building, especially the junior high, and one of the units on top, it actually caught fire. And so they got that taken care of, but it did knock out several more classrooms, which we've had to go in and either get portable air or window units for those. Currently, we probably have at least 20 window units, not counting the other portable units that are in our facilities.
Mr. Green, can we move that ceiling that fell? Can we, at that high school gym, we're not gonna use it, I'm assuming. Try to get that moved off.
Yes. We're going to try to get all that cleaned up. We just want to make sure that all the insurance people, there's like 3 different ones that have to see it and stuff. We have pictures, but we just want to make sure that we give them their diligence. Which is another thing we're also looking at is there's a lot of debris on our campuses that we talked about before, and we're hoping to be able to use this ESSER grant to help clean up that. I'm getting quotes on that currently to move some of the construction and hurricane damage that, we just piled up because we're trying to get class going. Well, it's been sitting there for 3 years now, so we're trying to get that put out. So
Huge pile at Maryville. That thing's
there's-
like a.
Y'all's is a small pile to some
Oh,
compared to some.
really? Oh, y'all poor schools.
So there's a couple of schools that got just mountains. Okay, so anything else for me?
Yes, at the bus barn, you're talking about landscaping. How many, I know one time we talked about, how much of that area behind it you was planning on clearing?
Behind the bus barn?
Trim.
Oh, the Head Start, okay. There's basically, best guess, it's about 5 or 6 acres. It runs from the road that's right there in front of Carver, and it goes straight back toward the bus barn, all the way to that, there's like a railroad track back there.
Right, railroad track.
Yes, sir, and it goes down in that gully, that wash,
Yeah.
and then all the way back up to Head Start is what we're talking about.
All right.
And then there's also, like Carver has a place probably bigger, wider than this room, of their playground. It's
With all
just
that
trees and
connected all
stuff.
the way down.
Mhm. We're going to take that out as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Green, this may be a question for Mr. Holly and Mr. Hensminger as well. I want to get an understanding. We talked about schools administration being, responsible and making sure that they're staying on top of all this filter changing for the AC, anything that comes about.
That's
We
improved
had-
a lot.
Yes, okay, so I was just asking if we had those discussions with each.
Yes, sir. I'm getting in
It's a good understanding that
monthly
they need
reports.
to have a
and-
schedule, they need to maintain that schedule.
Yes, sir. And they've already had a couple of principals that really had to call, they found some filters that were signed off on, and so they
Yeah.
brought them
Not
in,
taken.
got on them, documented it, just like we asked them to do. So I know that they're doing it because I've already talked to, 3 or 4 besides the ones that have gotten in trouble. Everybody's gotten their reports into me, but there were some that they've already found that were trying to just, slide, but they called them out on it. so.
And their understanding of just not only AC, but also the grounds itself, maintenance, all that stuff, right? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I would like to take this time to just, before I do close, just to commend Mr. Holly, Mr. Hensminger, and all the support and staff. You guys did a wonderful job during the fires. I know this board knows it, but I just wanted to make it known to everybody else that really did. Thankful to you guys. Did a great job.
Yeah.
And that'll close the Building and Grounds Committee.
This time I'll call to order the Policy Committee. Members are myself as chairperson, Ms. Neely, Mr. Shirley, Ms. Lafitte, and Mr. Thibodeau. There is a quorum present. You see the agenda before you. I'd like to hear a motion to accept the agenda as written.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
All right, Ms. Lafitte first. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Neely seconds. All in favor, please say aye. All right, item number 1, to consider approval of the minutes of the August 7th, 2023 Policy Committee meeting as written. You should have that before you in your packet that went out in the mail. Any additions or deletions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
I'll give you the motion to accept.
All right, Mr.
And I'll
Thibodeau.
second that.
Ms. Lafitte seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, item number 2, to consider approval of the new policy file BCAD, teleconference, remote participation in school board meetings and waive the waiting period. Mr. Hawley.
Okay, as Mr. Wenzel, Mr. Johnson, and Ms. Crane are at a legal conference today and tomorrow. I'll be standing in. So this is really my first time presenting policy as such, so please forgive me if I make any faux pas. Teleconference, remote participation in school board meetings. As you can read, this is a new policy, so you don't see the blue updates in here. But remote participation by a school board member with a disability. A school board member who has a disability recognized by the Americans with Disabilities Act shall now be allowed to participate and vote in a meeting via electronic means as defined below. What you read below is already in existence for our policies with virtual meetings. As Mr. Lesage advised me today, that it is not, and to his understanding, that we are not allowed as a board to vote virtually, pending outside of this emergencies or disasters. He was not able to locate the statute for this particular policy prior to our meeting tonight. He has asked that he be allowed to study it because he's not confident that this is correct. So I think with that information, we just need to sit on this one until we can get some clarification until Thursday.
So, would you like me to get a table to Thursday then? Request for a table to Thursday?
Yes,
Do that?
please. And we can do our discussion during.
Okay. All right, does anybody have a problem with that? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to table this until Thursday.
I'll make a motion to table.
Okay, Ms. Lafitte? And Ms. Neely seconds. All in favor of that? Aye. All right, number 3, to consider approval of new policy file IDCJ, continuous learning, and waive the waiting period.
Okay, this is fairly straightforward. We do have a continuous learning plan in place because over the last 3-4 years, we have gone through every stage of the short-term, medium-term, and long-term modified operations between COVID, hurricanes, and outages based on weather and so forth. So currently, there is a plan in place at the district level. It is usually taken care of at the school site level because depending on the age students that you are working with and dealing with, virtual versus packets and so on and so forth. This was recommended by Forethought as some changes because not every district is as forward-thinking as we have not been where we have been, and so they have to develop these plans. But when we came out of Laura and having come off the backside of COVID with it, we have our virtual days. That's why when we had the imminent threat, we had a cancellation of Singer and Maryville, but whenever we had virtual days, that now counts as minutes. Teachers can roll into their Google Classrooms. Students were Google District. They can address now, just for clarification, as every moment is a teaching moment. That doesn't work as well with our littles, pre-K, K1. So the short term for them is basically to get them back. We're losing some learning time. But in the medium and long distance or long term, our teachers provide them with learning packets. They post instructions to the Google Classroom that the parent can access and utilize the teacher instruction versus what they go home in hand with. With our grades 3 and up, we have synchronous and asynchronous learning. Teachers can log on, they can do Google Meets for their students, they can record and post videos of them teaching. So this is a common practice across the district, or has been and is in place.
I got a question. What are the computers that are sent home? Can't think of them right now.
Chromebooks.
Like at the high school, they took those Chromebooks back at some point last year. And so when the virtual day we just had, is there a plan to give those back, or is it?
Because of the amount of damages we were having, not intentional. Kids puts it in their book bag, they go to class, they throw the book back down. the weight of textbooks, practice the screen. So we did ask that since we were not in a state of virtual, could be with COVID outages or hurricanes, that we pull them back so we could just maintain our numbers. Because once ESSER money is gone, these Chromebooks have like a 3-4 year life where they cannot update anymore. So we have kind of guarded that resource. But let's say that we know Hurricane Larry we've got to close school for unknown amount of days, at least 2 or 3 days. We have a plan to disperse those Chromebooks so that they have them. Now, in a case of like making a call on a Sunday at noon,
Right.
no, sir.
I was just trying to get, understand, and that's good.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Hawley on this policy? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Ms. Neely makes the motion,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Thibodeau. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, item number 4, to consider approval of new policy file JGCD, administration of medication and waive the waiting period.
Okay, there's 2 things. This is, if you've read through this policy, it is very similar to what we already have in place, particularly with the procedures for distributing medicine at school. There was a change that was late in coming. It is on page 9 of 13. There are 2 blue sections. This is what has changed in it. If you look at the first paragraph where it says supply of Noxil, of that medicine, or other opioid antagonist. But when you carry down into the second paragraph, it only lists the particular medicine that was in the original. Ms. Pam put in your packet the change verbiage because it needs to say or any other opioid antagonist, not just that one medicine.
Okay, so the top paragraph is the one that will be in the policy. The second paragraph is not in.
Well, this is the way Forethought sent it. They sent it as 2 paragraphs. But when Mr. Munsell and I was looking through it, we noticed this after we had sent it out, that the top paragraph has the medicine, and I'm sorry, I'm terrible at pronouncing medicines, and other opioid antagonists. And then if you go down to the second paragraph, it only lists in line 4, first word, that particular medicine. So
We need to add that.
yes.
Okay,
So in that
okay.
handout, that second page, it should be updated.
Yeah.
The second point of reference that was brought to my attention, which answers some questions that I was unsure of, I got to learn some stuff today. On the first page, page 1, where we name in line 2 of A, the name and signature of the physician, dentist, other authorized prescriber. Well, that term is vague. They have a name, licensed independent practitioner, means any individual permitted by law and by the medical staff and board to provide care and services without direction or supervision within the scope of the individual's license and consent or consistent with individually granted clinical privileges. We do allow nurse practitioners, orthodontics, dentists, and so this covers a wide variety, sports medicine, of professionals to this wording change from authorized prescriber to licensed independent practitioner will cover all medical fields in terms of who can write prescriptions.
So this medication order, those 2 words in italics, is that like a form that is from the school board
Yes, ma'am.
district and the practitioner has to fill out
Yes,
that
ma'am.
form?
Yes, ma'am. And that's kept on file in the office and with whoever's distributing the medication as well as the nurse's office. So when we go into our J campus systems, our health students or students with medication are flagged, and we are able to see, teachers, principals are able to see those, and that's recorded there as well.
So the same thing would be in that second paragraph, page 9. So it says 6 hours of general training for medication from a registered nurse or a licensed medical physician. So you probably need to change So in other words, they can only be trained by an RN or an MD or a physician. So are you saying they can't be trained by an NP or anything else?
I would need to ask on that one, Ms. Lafitte.
Okay.
In my experience as a principal and education, we always, Ms. Ferguson is the one who, as the nurse, our head nurse, does all of our trainings. I think that Mr. Johnson could answer this better as far as being over
I'm
nurses.
just asking, because that really limits who can, it's only 2 people. If an NP is, they are so prevalent now.
Well, but it is a, okay, well, yeah, a licensed medical physician.
A
So it
Okay,
may
so that's
be-
it, that's
Physician,
LMD. yeah,
right.
that's
So it may
Either
be that-
RN or a medical physician, so,
Utilize the
right.
It looks like that
LIP there.
verbiage needs to be corrected throughout the document.
It does, right.
Okay.
So
Right.
Then that's something that I can send to Mr. Wenzel and have him work on.
So, you want to go ahead and, so as a policy is a working document, so I mean, we can start with this and then continue to improve it. So,
Right.
I do believe that we should, if you guys see fit, we should go ahead and take care of this, but then the hopes that we'll continue to improve it. So, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept.
Ms. Lafitte, Ms. Neely seconds. All in favor, please say aye. All right, that concludes the policy committee.
I do have one more housekeeping thing. So I know Mr. Holly has been trying to work with Mr. Geist to get that board training that we've been talking about for months. I think he has him solidified for October the 9th. That's a Monday, board meeting day. Around 1:30, we could start and have that board training with Mr. Geist, who is one of the school board attorneys at the state level.
What day did you say?
Monday, October the 9th,
At 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
And he does plan to be here till 5:30, which gives us a 30-minute bio break, and we'll have some food provided. But it does, I don't know how many of you actually need hours. It's Pam and their office contacted us.
I know we've had some discussion about presentation of the agenda, so it'd be a really good time to nail something down that everyone's comfortable with and is legally clear to.
I'm good with it.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.